Good morning and welcome to Our Issues Milwaukee. I'm your host, Andrea Williams. Our focus this morning is on children's literature. Giving children access to all varieties of literature is extremely important for their success. Reading helps develop cognitive skills to be able to succeed in a school or work setting, and it helps students develop emotional intelligence and creativity. My first guest was born and raised in Milwaukee. She's a mom, an author, and publisher. She was encouraged to write about a subject that few people talk about: autism. Amelia Peace is the author of A Lone Bird, A Story About Autism. How are you, Amelia?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show. So thank you.
Well, I thank you for being here. And like I said, this is a subject that for a certain sector of the society, it's talked about all the time. For others, it just may not ever come up at all. So, since April is Autism Awareness Month, in my opinion, this is the perfect time to talk about your book. So, if you would tell us more about A Lone Bird and what inspired you to write it.
Yes, so my book is called A Lone Bird, A Story About Autism. And it's a very unique and creative story that was really inspired by my daughter. My daughter is Robin. Her name is Robin Guyton. And it shows the protagonist in the story. Her name is Tilly Bird, and her interactions in school, and how she's just having a tough transition. And throughout the story, it shows the communication differences that Tilly may have with her classmates and other ups and downs that she's experienced throughout the day.
Mhm.
And overall, the story gives a very uplifting message to families and educators and students about acceptance and autism awareness, and also the differences that individuals may have.
Absolutely. And, we're all different from each other. So it's important to remind kids that, being different is not a bad thing at all. So you've said in the past that you found it hard to explain to people the challenges that your baby girl faces on a daily basis. So she was diagnosed at 3 years old. And she's 5 now, and so absolutely cute. So, if you would kind of explain what led you to getting an assessment and coming up with this diagnosis.
Oh, absolutely. So the assessment came about prior to her being diagnosed at the age of 3. So in my family, we noticed around 14 months, Robin was starting her speech. She was saying a few words, hi, bye, and she'll probably say dada or nana for her nana. And once she reached 16 months, those languages, the words that Robin was speaking, completely stopped. I thought maybe, she might be getting bored. And so I started doing other terms with her and word associations with things she's familiar with. And Robin completely stopped talking. So after that, I did talk to Robin's grandmother, my mom, and we discussed, hey, there may be some other things that we should be looking at as far as the diagnosis. And that was always in the back of our mind around the time Robin was 2. During that time in Milwaukee, I know for sure a lot of places who were doing the evaluations prefer that parents wait until 3. That has changed now, which is awesome because early diagnosis is very essential to just understanding the child's development. And once Robin did reach 3, I was referred to a specific location, which is Wisconsin Early Autism. I believe it's Wisconsin Early Autism Project. It's been a while, but I think that's the name. And we went. They did a thorough evaluation. That evaluation lasted probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours. It's a long process. And so I do appreciate that type of process because it allows the evaluator to just go across the board on all the development stages that Robin needed to be and whether or not she was meeting those marks or not. So after that evaluation was done, just the waiting game, which was nerve wracking. It took about probably 2 weeks And then I finally got the phone call and just information on how to proceed forward with services.
Wow. So for a parent, that's not an easy thing to hear because you then realize that maybe your job just got a little harder and that you
Yes.
would have to work and not only just work to do what's necessary to have your child be where you're happy for her placement, but just really dealing with everybody else. Like you said, you ran into some issues at her preschool.
Yes. So she has her diagnosis at this point. So let's fast forward. Robin was referred to a specific preschool based on their record of just being positive to children of special needs and so forth. So I thought that would be a good fit. And that first week, there was a little bit of bumps and stumbling. It got progressively worse, unfortunately. And it was just one of those things where um, more knowledge was needed on the end of this preschool and handling Robin in particular because Robin not only had autism, she was also diagnosed around that time with ADHD.
Mhm.
And so that's just another set of things to uh, work on with her. So after myself and Robin's preschool, went our separate ways, I went upon myself to homeschool her. And that's really where the idea of my book, A Lone Bird, came about, was just her experience. And I'll show the back because I thought it was so cute. And her
Yeah, that is a
experience,
puzzle, and that is key with when you're talking about autism, right? So
yeah,
I caught that right away.
thank you. And that's what, again, just to reiterate, what came up with the idea for the book. I was journaling because I love to write, of course, and I decided once I journaled everything, I'm like, there's something there
Mm.
that parents can relate to, and that was it.
Yeah, and I think any parent that's listening to you talk about everything you've gone through, I mean, whatever someone says about your child, whatever needs to be done, as a parent, you're willing to do that and more. And so I think that when other people hear moms like you say, this is what happened, this is what we did, and this is where we are, you are also inspiring others along the way. So let's talk a little bit more about Robin. You did mention she's 5 now.
Yes.
So what's her favorite thing to do? What makes her smile?
Oh goodness. So Robin is at this point at 5. She is all over the place with her interests, which is great. She has just a thirst of knowledge and curiosity. She loves molding. So I've been doing a lot of stuff with clay art with her, which I'm very surprised because initially when she started school, virtual schooling, art was not her favorite subject at all. But now she's loving the different types of things to do. We've overcome a few of the sensory issues that Robin has that's also coupled with autism.
Mhm.
So that texture and stuff is really important to try to, get her just familiar with different things. So clay, she loves her trampoline. So I recently bought that her birthday a year ago.
Mhm.
And she loves to run. She's very athletic and she just is endless of energy. So
And that's just it. Like, no matter how different a child might be in whatever situation, they're still a child and they enjoy
yes.
doing what kids enjoy doing. So, thank you for sharing that with us. And I think it's important to mention that last month, the Autism Society of America, they officially announced the shift in terminology from Autism Awareness Month to Autism Acceptance Month. When you hear that, what do you think?
So I'm a bit old school. I appreciate the change. I think, with social media and trends, it tends to be to re-energize the image. So I kind of get where they're coming from. The reason I say I'm old school is because my nephew, I'm familiar with autism as far as the advocacy goes. He's 14, so I've been in the community a lot.
Yeah.
Autism acceptance. I have to adjust to that a little bit, but I get where they're going. I get where they're coming from.
Gotcha. So when we talk about autism, there's what's called the spectrum. So that
Yes.
means that there's a wide range of symptoms, skills, and levels of disability. Some children and adults with autism, they fully are able to perform all activities in their daily lives, and some people may require a little more extra support with their basic activities. So, with that said, I wanted you to talk a little bit about how this book is intended to help other kids understand that spectrum and be more willing to, accept people's differences and realize that, you know what, we're all different.
And I'm glad that you mentioned spectrum because the spectrum with autism is such a heavy thing to digest, even for adults. I'm still getting used to the spectrum. I
Mhm.
have adults or parents with their autistic children. The spectrum can range from children with Asperger's all the way down to those who don't fit that category with Asperger's.
Mhm.
So it's just a range. And I think when I had ideas of publishing the book, it was to make the dialogue and the conversation simplistic enough where we're dealing with just everyday life. So just take the terminology out of it. We
Yeah.
have just a child who is lonely or who's alone and wants to interact with other people. And children knows that the character in the story, Tilly, is different. They just don't understand why. And so
Right.
once you break down all those terminologies and just get down to the bare bones of it, you have that message.
Yeah. And I love that you say that you're like, the bottom line is. So that's what it breaks down to. What advice do you have for parents, Amelia, who may be experiencing some of the same things that you've experienced? Maybe they have a really young child that's just been diagnosed, or maybe they're just trying to grasp what it is they need to do on a day to day basis.
So the message I really want to iterate, especially those in the African American and Black communities, is there's shame behind it that I've noticed. There's heartbreak with the diagnosis, and we don't talk about it often.
Mhm.
And I want to just say you're not alone. It is not your fault, and there are services. And the services are there. We just need to find them. It's very difficult in Milwaukee, I know, but talk about the issue more and talk about your feelings about it and make sure your child or children are integrated in the community because it still takes a community to make this work. This autism awareness and autism acceptance work. The more we get rid of the negative notions about autism, such as autism is not a disease, so don't worry about it. It's not a disease.
Not at
um,
all. No.
Right.
Yeah.
And just getting rid of those negative notions is really what it's about and acceptance.
Yeah.
That's
And
my
of course,
message.
we need everyone at home watching to know how they can add this book to their child's collection or maybe buy it for a child and give it as a gift. How do they get their hands on it?
So right now, it is available on Amazon. So once you type a Bird, you'll get immediate access to it. And also, hard copy is becoming available. I am reaching out to Milwaukee Public Schools to make sure that autism is available throughout the school district. So we're in early talks of that. So I'm super excited.
Yeah.
And hopefully, this will be in the classrooms for families
Yeah,
and
I think it's
students. Yep.
important. And one last thing as we wrap up, did I read correctly that you're trying to make this like maybe a stage production of some sort?
Yes, I am.
We just
I
spoke it
am.
into existence, okay?
Yes, I am. I'm in talks with Empower Theater. The director there is Katina Cole, and we're talking right now. We're establishing a baseline, so I'm excited about it, very
Yeah,
much so.
you have every reason to be excited because, like I said before, you are inspiring people along the way, and you probably have no idea how many. So I think that you presenting this book for kids to have and better understand people who may not be like them, that's so very important in life itself. So thank you for coming by to talk to us today, and continuous success to you and all the best to you and your family.
Thank you so much, Andrea Williams. You are awesome.
Oh, no, thank you so very much. And I want everybody to remember they can go to alonebirdbook.com to get more information. When we return to Our Issues Milwaukee, we'll meet another mom who decided to write a series of children's books, also inspired by her child and the children that she teaches on a daily basis. We'll talk to author Jenny Rose, who's a native of Racine, right after this.